Team of the week time then. Six Nations round 3 is done. Which players wore their shirt best? I've got not just a 1 to 15, I've got a 23-man squad. Feedback on the channel, comments were, rugby's a 23-man game, Tim. You're always talking about that, so how about picking a 23-man team of the week? That's what I do. And I've even thought about the composition of my bench, bearing in mind this weekend we've had 5 3s, we've had 6 2s, and a 7-1 as well. So I've even given that some thought. And at the end of the video, I will also pick my best 3 players overall of the week. It will be a miracle if we agree on every selection. It'd be a bit boring if we all agreed as well, to be honest. So let me know what you reckon in the comments down below. And give the video a thumbs up while you're there. I have had a brilliant weekend watching the rugby. I'm feeling it now. I'm looking forward to getting home. Still in London currently. This is the last video I'm doing from London. I'm homebound tomorrow. And yeah, but how good has that weekend of rugby been? Without any further ado, let me get into the team of the week then. And in the number 1 jersey, I've gone for France's Jean-Baptiste Gros, who has been brilliant. I just assumed, you know, that when Cyril Baille was back fully match fit after his long injury, he would get straight back into the France number 1 jersey. I now see just how good Cyril Baille is as a player off the bench, because Jean-Baptiste Gros has been fantastic for France. A set-piece monster, massive unit, and he and the rest of the French bomb squad, or the starters before the bomb squad, Lecoq squad came on, he was excellent. Alongside, in the front row for France, I've gone for Piato Malvaca. Now, when a game loosens up as much as this one does, that just plays right into Malvaca's hands. He's like an extra loose forward, and he showed that link playability that he's got. And as well as that, his set-piece fundamentals are strong. And talking about set-piece fundamentals, how much better are England at scrum time generally? We saw improvements in November. There's been improvements again through the Six Nations. And honestly, I mean, as an Englishman that's seen that be our Achilles heel in big matches, you don't know how happy that makes me. And Will Stewart, I mean, Andy Farrell was there at Twickenham to watch that game. Not only is Will Stewart playing himself onto the plane to Australia for the British and Irish Lions, he could be playing himself into a not a starting necessarily, but a match day test squad as well. He was up opposite Xander Fagerson, and he got the better of him in this game. Will Stewart has been quietly really good in this Six Nations. Joe McCarthy back and gave Ireland a bit of bite that they've been missing, carrying really hard, and I don't know, that kind of steel and extra ballast that you get from Joe McCarthy, is that something that Ireland are going to want when they play France? I suspect it will be. So that selection with James Ryan and Tyg Burn as well. I mean, Tyg Burn's going to play, but it's a question of do you go Tyg Burn second row or move him back into the back row, as they did against South Africa, as they tend to do in their bigger games, or certainly against more physical opposition. I think that's probably the way they'll go. But I mean, lots of time to discuss that one in the next couple of weeks, building up to what's going to be an unreal match between Ireland and France. Championship decider, effectively, you would think. In the second row, alongside Joe McCarthy, I went for Maro Itoje. Joe McCarthy did a lot of disruptive and destructive work with the ball, just carrying like a monster. Maro Itoje did his disruption and destruction without the ball. He is an absolute menace, whether that's line-out time, ripping the ball off Xander Fagerson, at the breakdown. He is such an you would hate to play against Maro Itoje. He is so annoying. And you have to say as well, just to give him a bit of credit, 2 games in a row where England have won by a point, Maro Itoje is the captain. If this starts to become a trend, you might have to say his leadership is contributing to that. Into the back row then, Jamie Ritchie, I didn't think deserved to be on the losing team. He was amazing. A lot's been made of England's poor attack, and it was poor. A huge part of the reason why England's attack was poor is the fact they just couldn't get any quick ball. Their ruck time was so slow, so Scotland's defence was really organised. And the man at the heart of that was Jamie Ritchie, who got several breakdown steals, but slowed down England's ball consistently, and was part of the reason that England was spooked and went to the box kick, because he just slowed down their ball so much, so they didn't have much good attacking ball. Jamie Ritchie, I thought, was excellent, and a really good selection from Gregor Townsend. He's done this before in the Calcutta Cup, and it worked again. Ben Earl, on the other side of things, I thought he was excellent for England, all action. He had carries, he had turnovers, offloads, defenders beaten. Look at the stats. He had a massive game. That was the the assessment just watching him play. Thought he was huge, both as a 7 starting the open side, and then when Tom Willis went off, when he moved to 8, and he needed that big performance. Talking about British and Irish Lions potential selection, back row is stacked. Ben Earl has been brilliant, but some very, very good players are going to be left behind. So they need to have big performances. Ben Earl, I thought, had one of those at the weekend. Talk about big back row performances. Vintage Taulupe Faletau in Cardiff. How have we missed that? All the injury issues. He's, 34 years of age now, but he used every bit of that experience. And how good was it to see Taulupe Faletau just marauding in that wide channel? And fair play to Matt Sherratt. He selected him to start and he used him really well. Tactically, got the best out of Taulupe Faletau, which it was just really, really good to see on many levels. That's the pack. As for the back line, no surprises who's at scrum half. Antoine Dupont, captain for France, and, talisman on the field. In words and in deeds, 2 tries, 3 assists, bonkers numbers of meters and defenders beaten. The guy just is a rugby cheat code and did it all. And alongside Thomas Ramos, I thought they just absolutely bossed the game for France. Interesting that I didn't think there were too many absolute top tier fly half performances this weekend. It happens sometimes. I think the same with hooker. And I think fly half in general, when you look around world rugby, 2024 wasn't a great year for fly halves. I don't know, the 2025's started out amazingly well. Lots of promise, and we'll see where Finn Smith and Sam Prendergast can take their jerseys for their countries. Thomas Ramos, I thought, was the best of the weekend. And, I mean, Italy's defence wasn't very good, but part of that is this guy just bossed it, and him and Dupont tore him to shreds. Into the midfield then, Tom Jordan. How good was he? How good was he? Difficult coming in for Sione Tuipulotu. Difficult game playing against Ireland 2 weeks ago. I thought he was great. And one of those Scottish players that you feel sorry being on the losing team for, because he got a load of meters. He was a genuine carrying threat. He beat defenders. He's got elusive footwork, crisp distribution. So he could do the tough, physical, hard running, and he could be that second playmaker as well. And Gregor Townsend used him really well. Scotland got the best out of Tom Jordan, and he stepped up and gave a really good performance at Twickenham, I felt. I thought Yoram Moefana was really good at centre. I thought that Max Llewellyn was really good for Wales. I would also have to give the other spot, though, to Bundy Aki, who made such a game-changing difference when he came on. And Wales fans must have been thinking, why do we have to change to the 20-minute red card? Because when Bundy Aki came on after that 20-minute red card for Gary Ringrose, the game changed, and he gave a focal point, an impetus, and he packed all of that energy and frustration that he would have had sat on the bench into, an absolute blitz of a half an hour for Ireland. And even though he was only on for a short amount of time, he managed to get a massive whack on his face, be covered in blood again. It's just the way Bundy plays. And get covered in a load of paint from that Guinness advert, which they've got to deal with, by the way. Those Guinness adverts painted onto the ground when you've got teams wearing white shirts. Come on, you can do better than that. Onto the wings then. Duhan van der Merwe, who, honestly, I've got PTSD watching this guy play against England. He just terrorises England. Death taxes and Duhan van der Merwe doing Duhan van der Merwe things against England. I mean, if you only ever watched Calcutta Cup games, you'd think this guy was the GOAT. Like him and Lomu, the best wingers of all time. You just want to see that sort of performance from Duhan van der Merwe against all the other countries consistently. And maybe he would be regarded like that, because he was frightening again. Terrorised England, got a try, thought it was the winning try. I did feel a little bit sorry for Finn Russell, because when you look back where Duhan van der Merwe put the ball down, and you could argue he could have got it a little bit closer to the posts, but where he did put it down, the referee made Finn Russell move a couple of metres out to kick it, and then he missed by a couple of metres. So, what could have been, eh? And the other winger, I went for Theo Atisogbe. A mention for Ellis Mee, a mention for Tommy Freeman. But I just thought this guy was great. A mention for Louis Bielbire as well. But Theo Atisogbe, top tackler for France, which just goes to show the kind of work rate that he had. And he got his try, and he popped up on his opposite wing, and his just outstanding footwork, rugby awareness, and he's 20 years old. France's back three is insane. This guy is 20. Louis Bielbiere is 21. And the fullback in my team of the week, Leo Barret, is 22. He's the eldest of the French back three. And the mad thing is, what does Galtier do now selection-wise? Does Penaud come back in? Massive game against Ireland, big pressure cooker. Do you go with Leo Barret again or with Romain Ntamack back? Do you revert to Ntamack at 10 and Ramos at 15? Big decisions. Lots of time to talk about that on the channel, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But what would you do? I had to go for Leo Barret in my team. I mean, a couple of tries, could have been a hat-trick with the third disallowed. Crazy number of metres, like nearly 200 metres. Fantasy rugby dream. And he just looks so assured at the back there. Onto the bench, I went with Jamie George. England's set piece has been really, really good. He had a great impact off the bench coming in just into the second half. Ellis Genge carrying angry, and he was really effective as a ball carrier. But fundamentally, the thing that makes me really happy as an England fan is that the England set piece was solid. Ellis Genge played his part there. Will Griff-John, talk about a solid set piece. Imagine coming into international rugby, starting only your second game of any level of rugby in 2 years for your national team against Ireland, favourites for the Six Nations, and winning a scrum penalty or two against Andrew Porter. Fair play, Will Griff-John. Great performance. He was even counter-rucking. Yeah, did everything that he could have been asked of him and some. Michael Guillard, I thought, had a really strong game for France in the 48 minutes he was on. Got a try as well for his efforts. Jack Morgan makes me want to be Welsh, because I would love to know the feeling of supporting a team that Jack Morgan is playing for, because he just must fill your heart with pride every time he runs out there. The guy is, well, that's what he is, all heart. Love him. Gregory Aldrit, just Rolls Royce of a rugby player. Pure class, soft skills, carries hard, great rugby brain, and again, a player on for 48 minutes and had a massive impact in that time, including a try. I went for a 6-2 split on the bench. We've had a 7-1 and a couple of 6-2s. I went for a 6-2 myself. And I thought Thomas Williams had to be included. Very, very good performance for him. And, I mean, yeah, if Andy Farrell was watching that, Thomas Williams, that battle for the scrum half spots, it's going to be fierce, isn't it? Maybe Thomas Williams and Ben White jump above Alex Mitchell this week. That'll be a video that I cover on the channel. The British and Irish Lions pecking order. Ellis Mee, out of nowhere, had to give him a mention. Could have been Louis BRA, could have been Tommy Freeman getting this wing spot. I've given it to Ellis Mee because he just, not even just because he was new and I wasn't expecting a lot. Objectively, his performance on the wing for Wales was brilliant. And for a lad who was playing championship rugby for Nottingham a year ago, that is pretty remarkable. He was beating defenders. I mean, it could have been a fairy tale ending. Wasn't quite to be. Yeah, I wonder if he'll have... he would have found it hard to sleep thinking about that try that nearly was. But he did himself proud, and it's not going to be his last test in a Welsh jersey. And that is my team of the week then, all 23 of them. And as you'll see, it starts to tell a bit of a tale, because I have got quite a lot of Frenchmen, 8 of them in the 23, very dominant performance, and no Italians. No surprises there. But one thing you do pick up on is 4 of the starting backline were French. They were brilliant in attack, and Yoram Moafana and Louis BRA weren't far off being in it as well. So their backline was fizzing, but they've got a bit of power in the pack as well, with 2 of their front row, 1 of their second row, 1 of their back row in. It was an all-round, all-court performance from France. Look at Scotland, 3 players in the starting lineup, and they lost. That tells a story. It also tells a story that England have got 5 players in the 23, all of them forwards. England's backline were not great. England's forwards, I thought, are much improving. Set piece, line out and scrum, really, really solid. And some of their guys just put it about on the pitch. Ireland only 2 players despite getting the win. Some standout performers, but some that were a bit under par. And Wales, despite a defeat, 5 names in the 23. I think deservedly so. Tell me what you reckon. Let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to pick now my 3 to finish, my 3 players of the week overall in kind of bronze, silver, gold fashion. 3rd place, Taulupe Faletau. How good to see him doing Faletau things once again. 2nd place, Leo Barret. Exceptional performance for him. And he would have been 1st place in most other occasions if it wasn't for the fact that on the same field, was this little magician who is a rugby cheat code. Antoine Dupont, my player of the week. Let me know what you reckon, and I will see you on the next one.